Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Pure Cringe. I am Maria, and I'm here with my old pal, Michelle. We are your hosts. Hey, Michelle.
Hey Maria, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to hop into the hot tub time machine with you
Hot tub
and
time
head
machine,
back
yeah.
into the glory days of reality TV. We're going to talk about Project Runway Season 1, Episode 4, Collaboration. I am very excited to do this, Michelle.
Yeah, this was a good one.
You have notes.
Yeah, I got notes. There's lots of fun loops that they threw at people, right? There were tears, there were
Yeah.
tantrums,
Oh, yeah.
there were loops, and Heidi Klum had big boobs. Was she pregnant in this one?
I don't know. I was thinking that too. Yeah. We laughed, we cried, we stared at Heidi's tits. It's
Yeah.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
But before we jump in, let's just take a minute to remind ourselves who we picked to go home in today's episode. So when we last recorded, you and I made some predictions
Uh-huh.
about who we thought would be leaving in the next episode. Do you
Uh-huh.
remember what your prediction was?
No. Wait,
Yeah,
I thought I wrote it down. No, I didn't write it
you
down.
got
No,
memento mind.
I
Yeah,
do.
so me too. So you like so many people were hoping that Kevin would go home this week in this week's episode, and I was hoping that Wendy would go home. So we'll see how we do with that.
Mhm.
So
You
we
got
meet.
star though. You got your star. So
Listen, I if I can just retire from the rest of this season knowing that Star is finally somewhere just practicing bad law and trying not to cry.
bad law.
Bad law, bad law. Bad law. We meet everybody on the runway, and finally Heidi has something on that I like in
Hmm.
this episode.
Yeah.
I love that
The
fringed
fringe.
top.
Yeah.
I think she looks gorgeous, actually. And she's there to announce the next challenge. And so she says something I think that we all know, right? That fashion and music go hand in hand,
Hmm.
and that this week is about rock and roll.
Hmm.
And so Heidi is asking them to design for a rising rock star. And I actually paused it there and I gave myself a minute and I was just like, who could this be? Who's a rising rock star when this is happening? And they introduced someone I have never heard of in my life named Sarah Hudson. Do you know who this person is? Have you heard of them? They're real?
Well, it's nepotism at its finest. She is related to Goldie Hawn. She's in that family, so she's related to Kate
Oh,
Hudson. She's probably Kate Hudson's cousin.
Michelle coming in with the info. Very cool. Because
I
I was like,
remember the song from that time. Anyway.
it just seems so whiny. I was like, is this even real? I was like, how is this person a rock star? I was like, she looks like she's just on her way to her bat mitzvah.
Yeah, she rose and fell.
Yeah, God bless her. Do you like this song?
No, I no, not her.
Because
I looked her up. She had like two albums, and her last one was like 2017, and then she hasn't done anything else.
she's no longer a girl on the
On the
verge of a
verge.
nervous. It just was sounded very whiny. And this, of course, gave Karasan the opportunity to tell us again that she has worked with musicians.
Yes.
I've noticed this, so I have to say, Michelle,
Yeah.
as we
You getting a
moved
little annoyed
on.
now? Yeah.
Well, no, I really I like her work, but I
Mhm.
feel like every time it must be because she doesn't realize this. Of course, it's going to be edited this way, but I feel like every time she talks to the camera, she mentions her work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She's just like, I used to work with Eve and or I used to work on movie. It was funny to me where it sort of popped out. So they meet the musician and they're going to design a head to toe look for her.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be sexy, girly, classy. And Austin brings up Alice in Wonderland, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it was a good thought.
I know, but there's just as soon as he said it, something in me just went, I don't know. It's because it's very girly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know, because I love Alice, but and then it's time to choose the models, which
Hmm.
I think now there's a little bit more import to it now, right?
Yes.
Because Wendy won last week, which I still cannot believe. She picks first, and she picks Morgan. I feel like Morgan is a plague, and people keep saying to themselves, I don't know. I think I'm gonna fuck around with it. Like it's like Ozempic. People are like, I don't know. It looks good.
I don't know what they like
I'll
about
roll the
Morgan.
dice.
What do they like about her?
I mean, all the girls are beautiful. I mean, is it me? They're all
She's
tall.
not.
They're all tall.
She's like really not good looking. She's like not.
I don't know what her deal is, but everybody is very drawn to her. Austin picks Julia, who I actually really like her whole vibe.
Uh-huh.
Vanessa picks Olga.
Yep.
Alexandra picks Martinique.
Yep.
Nora picks Joy. Kevin picks Melissa. Jay picks Erin.
I
And then
love
Robert,
Melissa. I think she's
I do
gorgeous.
too.
Yeah.
She's so young. Robert is last again.
Again, the poor guy, huh?
You know what, it dawned on me too. I thought about it when I was watching this. I thought, how interesting that this guy who talks about women very objectively, right? Like we're like cars, we're like sports, for it's very difficult for him to choose one car over another. Like he just can't pick
He's
whatever
just got a
vehicle.
big garage, right?
There's an Outback. Yeah, he's got a big garage. There's an Outback. There's a Forester, and he's just like, oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult, right? I mean, I just don't get it. And he ends up sending his last model home after he
Well,
makes her wear that freaking dress, Michelle. That
yeah,
horrible
I
blue
know.
and cheetah dress.
I know, right? After he like fucking humiliated her, then he sends her home.
I couldn't believe it. He's like,
Yeah.
I mean, hot take for me. I don't know. I might be falling out of love with Robert. I might just still want to just have sex with him, but maybe not get married. So they
That's all he's good for, apparently.
yes, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't do well with the marriage, and he'll make me a dress along the way. So they go to Parsons, and Tim Gunn reviews the challenge with them, and they say that the designers are actually going to have to pitch their designs to Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, once they start sketching, I got excited. I really thought we were going to see like a lot of their designs in depth, because I
Mm-hmm.
really love that. Like, the part of the British Bake Off where like someone is explaining, Maria will be making a chocolate torte with, a dog shit pile on the top, whatever it is. And they actually show a graphic of it while it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kept thinking, I would love to start seeing the designs more. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's so cool. The sketches.
Yes. Yeah, no, I like to see things in process. And that's kind of one of the things I remember from art school was it's the process is like equally as important as the final thing, because you know what I mean, because there's always, it's just interesting to see, and then you can always go back to part of the process and expand on that. So it's, but I don't think TV really gives a shit about that. I think you and I do.
Yeah. It's funny. I think that that's what's kind of interesting now that we have so much distance on it. We can kind of look at it, and I guess we can see how they make the sausage, I guess.
Mhm.
We have so much more insight into how the sausage is made. Um,
Robert sausage.
I know. I'm sorry. We're
Okay.
going to both get arrested, but probably me first.
Yeah.
So Jay says that his design will be to the future. I just think Jay's awesome. He's like, it'll be the 2041. He said, so we can bullshit her into liking the design. Everybody's going to be wearing
I
this.
fucking love him. I fucking love
We
him.
would have hung
right?
out with him in high school.
Are you kidding? I hang out with him now. You kidding me?
Yeah, we would have loved him. We would have, yeah. He would have been. We would have fought over him.
Yep.
He's great. He's great. And then we start the pitches to Goldie Hawn's niece or whoever she is. So first we have Austin, and so he sees her as an old broken Victorian doll.
Yeah.
And then he does like the bustier thing. He's like,
And he's
really,
with the
like,
boobs and the bustier
yes,
and the bustier.
he's really trying to hike his
And
imaginary
he's got
boobs
like
up.
no fat on him whatsoever. So
love
he's
him.
hiking his shirt. Yeah.
He's just, Austin is just so much fun.
Yeah.
These people are just a ton of fun. So then we get to Alexandra, and so hers actually kind of sounds cool. I would have loved to have seen hers, because I think it was a little bit more steampunky.
Yes.
Because she says that it's like a corset with hardware.
Yeah, I thought that was so fun.
I would have loved to have seen that, because I feel like it would have brought like a different element into the designs. But then we get to see Robert, and I don't know if you noticed, I love his t-shirt. It says reality TV runner up.
I didn't see that.
So
no,
cute.
I was too busy listening to his fucking t-shirt. That's what you wanted to make a t-shirt. A tie-dye t-shirt.
So, when he said tie-dye, what happened for me, right? Like I nearly fainted, because what? I mean, conservatively, would we say about 50% of my wardrobe is tie-dyed?
Conservatively.
Yeah, I think that would be. I think it's probably closer to like 65. But when he said a tie-dye t-shirt, I was like, this is why I'm so attracted to Robert, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it Kevin who says that it's like Edwardian circus is his theme?
Where did he get Edwardian from?
I don't love him. I
Like,
just
did
don't love him.
he hear like Victorian and decided that he had to fucking one up
He had to be
Austin,
specific.
and he had to be like, this is Edwardian, which is that post-Victorian? I believe no, pre-Victorian.
Yeah, Victoria and Edward. It is. I think it's
No,
the
it's
period right
Albert.
before. Oh, Victoria and Albert.
Victoria. Edwardian was it was you know something, it's a phase that I like, but and never mind.
We just don't like him, so we're just
No.
gonna take apart everything he does. Yeah, I have to be honest too. I feel like his explanations of things, he obviously, these people are talented, right? Like they obviously know how to sew. He just doesn't make anything sound cool, Michelle.
No,
Like he just doesn't, right? Like would you, if you met him and you were going to hire a designer and I had to choose and there were other people there who had like personality, and even though I know that doesn't affect the design, it just doesn't sell me.
I would choose the guy that stinks of cigarettes and wears the fur and the sunglasses.
Yeah, like I would think Jay's
Jay,
the most
right?
interesting. I
Yeah,
would
I
be
would
like,
be like,
okay.
he's just like fucking weird. He looks like he's part South Park, part.
And then when we look at his work, right, even over the past couple
Yeah,
of weeks, it's been gorgeous and it's like
yeah.
meticulously done. It's beautifully finished, even so much so that, Tim Gunn, and spoiler alert, he's going to say it again, talk
Mm-hmm.
about how great his work is. So I feel like if I had a choice to work with a designer, I would want to work with someone who was much more gregarious
Mm-hmm.
and someone who was just like, oh, get into the van, little girl. I have candy in me. He creeps me out. So then we get to, speaking of people who creep me out, Wendy. So everything, she talks that everything will be see-through, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be like pornography, some type of
Yep.
pornography.
I I think what's her name? Hudson? I think she cringed at that, didn't she?
Yeah.
There's a couple faces she made, but I think Wendy was one of them.
Yeah, there are a couple moments, and if we're getting the editing right, if those reactions are for them, clearly they didn't do very well.
Yeah.
And then we get to our guy Jay, who's always dressed as some kind of version of Mrs. Roper, and I fucking love it. I love
he
it. He's so
he
great.
needs a caftan. I mean, I've not seen
Oh,
him in one yet,
Michelle, he needs a
right?
caftan. If we ever get a Pure Cringe caftan,
Yeah.
he is going to be the guy that we send it to.
If he had a caftan, he would look like Ursula, the sea witch, right?
Yes, but he'd be
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
He's just, yeah, he's just, what he is too? He's great television, right? So he talks about, multimedia, right? He says, they hit it off and she wants to fuck him.
I love that.
And that when she said,
I actually didn't think he liked women, but okay.
I don't believe he does, but I just think I think
He
he's
likes
saying,
thinking that he's fuckable though.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then we get Vanessa, who's talking about 40s and 50s pinup girl meets Marilyn Manson, which also I'm intrigued by.
I thought that was cute.
Like a
Yeah.
Betty Page, like a twisted Betty Page,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Or like an even more twisted Dita Von Teese.
Yeah.
And then we go to Nora, who says her one line is, a girl ran through a chandelier, and I was like,
Yeah. So
and then
next.
I'm like, okay, really, I thought, thank you, next. And then Karasana is reading her resume again.
Yeah.
I
Again.
worked with him, Robin Williams, The Rock. I made underwear for Marky Wahlberg. And so she says that hers is going to be like a princess / debutante gone bad.
Yeah. So
Which,
the
I don't
ones
know.
that intrigued me the most was
Yeah.
obviously Jay. I have written down seatbelt dress, French prostitute, which I
Yeah,
love.
all our favorite words, right?
French, exactly, exactly. And then uh sorry, and then I love the bustier, right? I like
Yeah.
that. I thought
So many French words. Shout out to our French listeners, right?
yeah.
Bonjour.
And then I have a note, what's with Vanessa's hair? Wasn't sure what's happening there. It was just very,
Does
I
she
don't know.
look like what's going on with Vanessa? Is she
I
having like a, is she, I feel like she might be, in a girl on the verge of a nervous
I
breakdown.
think she is. I think she
Yeah.
is.
So yeah, I feel like I love the ideas from Jay. I really would have liked to have seen Alexandra's
Yeah.
fleshed out. I even would have liked to have seen Vanessa's, but the one that I'm really not looking forward to, and I hate to say it because it feels blasphemous, is I felt like Austin, I don't know. I feel like the last couple of challenges we've seen, while the looks have been pretty, right? And they're always well executed, they've been too much Austin and not enough of the brief.
He has a limited vision.
Yeah. And I feel like this is a situation where his ideas aren't as important as Sarah's ideas.
Right.
And I think that he like overdoes it. I think it should be more 50-50, but for him it's like 70-30 in favor of him.
Yep.
And I think that it's like a through line with with everything that's been going on. So then they finally meet with Sarah and Tim to choose the top three. And then they're going to pick teams to execute the vision.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels very much like high school.
I thought this was fun though. I thought this was a good right. Yeah, I was always picked last for kickball. Yeah, and I thought this was a fun the way they wrote.
Do you have the teams? Do you want to go over who picks who and how that goes down?
Yeah, so she picked Jay. Of course she picked Jay because she secretly wants to fuck him. And then let's see, and then Jay picked, well no, first, and then she picked Austin, and then she picked Kevin. I was shocked with the Kevin thing.
Me too.
I was very disappointed. And then Zakara San says, because she's done so much work in the field, she has so much experience, that typically females, pick male designers.
I hate to be right about Karasan, but she really is going to give this to us for the rest of the time.
She is. But also, she's right. I mean, I have to be honest with you. If I was, what's her name? Hudson. Sorry, what's her first name? No name Hudson.
Sarah.
If I was her, the woman I would have picked Alexandra. I would have picked her. I would have run from Vanessa. Wendy, I would have thrown a rock at her. So
oh my god.
Anyway, so then Jay goes and he picks I'm sorry, next to Jay's name I have Pigalle, right? He's just French prostitute Pigalle.
I was I was just thinking of, so since you said that, did you ever go to the restaurant in Boston, Pigalle?
Yes.
I used to go there all the time, actually, with Ricky. Shout out to Ricky if she's listening. Love you, Ricky.
Yeah.
And I went a couple of times with Ricky, a couple of times with my friend Melissa. Actually, I think turned me on to it. I think was I there with Ricky and maybe Christine? And they had the most amazing food. So anytime someone says Pigalle, I'm like, yes, I will have the Brussels sprouts with the bacon. Yes. I will have the crispy duck. Yeah, I'll have that quacker crispy. Make it happen. This is quite a team.
Yeah.
These are the three leaders, right? So Jay, Austin, and Kevin.
Yeah.
I only would have predicted Jay out of those three. So that's why I'm kind of interested to see how this rolled out. So who does Jay pick?
He picks Kara, and then reluctantly picks Rob. Because Rob's kind of left over at the end, right? Yeah.
I think maybe Rob is like the puppy that there's always like a cat that like lives in the building. I feel like that's who Rob is. He's just, and nobody wants to just slam the door in his face. But they all want to touch it and feed it, but yeah. It doesn't really do anything.
No. Just looks nice and fuzzy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks cute. And then Austin's team is Wendy and Vanessa. I'm surprised. Why would he pick Wendy, Michelle?
I don't know. I thought
was everyone else already dead? Was everyone already dead?
I thought you had that answer.
No.
Maybe he thinks that her craft.
She good. I was just gonna say, I'm like, maybe she's a good seamstress. We're gonna have to get my friend Megan on this.
Vanessa is not a good seamstress. This is all this is about.
Yeah. Now. But she is the last person to be picked. And it's because she has been saying through this whole process that she does not like to sew. It's not that she can't sew, of course. It's that she doesn't like to sew.
So I'm not sure if this is the right business for her.
Well, I don't know. So here's the thing. I think in the beginning you have to sew your own stuff. But I think that once you sort of move past that, other people are sewing your stuff. So I wonder if she had already in her career maybe moved to that part, because I know that she had her own place in Houston. So I wonder if she had already moved to the pack where she is designing only.
But she's so reluctant, to want to do it. She wants to use super glue.
And also too, maybe she didn't realize how much sewing there would be. Maybe she thought it would be more of a design competition,
Yeah, maybe.
right?
Maybe.
And then Kevin's team, which I have to say, this team sounds like a shitty team to me,
Hmm.
just right off the bat. Kevin, Nora, and Alexandra.
Yeah.
None of this is going well.
No.
And so Wendy is already like trying, and she's telling us that she's trying to capitalize a little bit on Vanessa, like kind of being picked last because she can't or doesn't want to sew.
She's so negative. There's always like she she could put that in a more positive light, you know what I mean? But it's so easy for her to just, go the lousy route.
Tell me, did you notice the earrings that Wendy is wearing through this episode?
No, I can't get off of her glasses. They make her look so fucking terrible.
It's funny. Wendy reminds me of someone I used to work with, and Wendy is like a less pretty version. But Wendy was wearing rifle. They're black, like AR, like assault rifle weapons. Yeah, she's something
Okay.
else.
All
So
right
yeah.
then. Yeah.
So each team gets $150,
Yeah.
which we'll say is like what, 300 now?
Yeah.
And 1 hour for shopping. And
Yeah.
they go to Mood, which is literally going to be our favorite place. We should actually go there and take some pictures when we head back to New York City. Jay says that, he treats Robert like a slave while he's in there.
So
And
funny.
I think it's because Robert really is. He's like that underfoot puppy who just kind of is everywhere and he's unfocused.
Yeah.
I mean, especially we're just coming off of, it's been time for us since we just saw that episode where Robert had made not even really finished 3 or 4 dresses.
Yeah.
So I don't understand again why Jay picked him. And it must just be because he knows he can control him.
Yeah. I just think he likes having his energy around, maybe to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than some of the other energies that you could have gotten sided with,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Now then, talk to me a little bit about what happens next when Vanessa and Wendy sort of have these conversations in Mood about either Austin's vision, the work, or what they should buy. Did you sort of like clock that
I
when like
didn't. What I clocked, I'll tell you, was I immediately clocked Nora getting fed up with Kevin's like sort of like sorry, what did I write? Macro something. No, she gets fed up with like his sort of like nitpicky, like fine tuning. He can't decide on anything.
oh yeah, there Nora is already like amped when they're at Mood.
Yeah, and she gets really pissed off with that. So and I picked up on that because I can relate to that in my in my marriage. There's you really, there's a massive amount of compromise. So I tend to look at like a bigger picture, and then Brian will be like, no, wait a minute, things have to go in a certain order and they have to be, and I'm just like, I anyway. Sometimes he's right, sometimes
Yeah.
he's not, but I guess at any rate, so for these people being the age that they are, and I don't know how much experience they've had in life, but this is a big deal for them. And then I just have Jay fixes a scarf, frustrated with Robert.
Well, this is at Mood. This is before we leave Mood, there's a whole situation with Vanessa and Wendy. I don't know if you noticed this. So it's a
No,
whole,
I totally
so
didn't clock it
yeah,
because it was just like a lot of like everybody picking things, and
this was like about 20 seconds and it foreshadows what's going to happen. So literally Vanessa is trying to say to Wendy while they're there, we have this extra money. Should we buy this? We could use this to fix this and this.
oh yes,
And
yes.
Wendy does not say anything.
She doesn't say anything. She's just going to take orders, right?
Yeah, and she doesn't want to say anything because she knows she's trying to get Vanessa out.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to be part of anything that Vanessa says. So it's this very calculated moment, and Vanessa picks up on it, and she's like, Wendy is being very calculating here. I don't know if she's trying to figure out what she has to be in order to not get eliminated.
Yeah, and at some point shortly thereafter, Austin picks up on it too.
Yes.
Just on Wendy's weirdness. Yeah.
Yes. And then you're right. The teams just unravel once they get back, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. So what Nora says to Kevin is that there's no need to be so meticulous. right? I think that's just the way he is, right? To your point about
Yeah.
Brian, and just for some people, it's just their nature to be very detail oriented.
Yeah.
And so they butt heads over the design and the meticulous details. Then Jay's team is kind of doing well, except for our boy Robert, who just seems to be like very chatty. He's like leaning over and talking to people. And
There's a scene that I cannot stop laughing at, but it's like Jay sitting there like a fucking queen, and he's got like the big Star of David on,
yeah,
right? And he's
yeah.
got like the fucking babushka scarf on,
I
and at
love,
some point
I
he
love.
gets really irritated, and then he just does this like he just like sort of fixes like the hair like under his scarf, and he just like rolls his eyes, and I just it's just like big
That
breath,
speaks
Robert,
volumes.
stop
That
it.
speaks volumes for Jay.
Yeah, very funny, very funny. And then yeah, and then Nora starts being like a real biatch, and Kevin is actually being really nice to her. I think he's trying to be very patient with her. um and I think he's realizing that she's just a total twat, and he's going to have to go with it, but I think he's trying to manage her from the go.
Well, you're right. I think he knows that I think that, this whole thing, this whole theme, collaboration, was brilliant
Yeah.
to put at this point. I mean, whoever designed this game did it really well.
Well, I think Michael Kors had a big say in this, because he had a lot to say about collaboration and weakest
Yeah,
link and all that stuff. Yeah.
it really is. It's so fun because not only is it really difficult to work with people when you know them,
Yeah.
when you don't know somebody, how do you stand up for yourself? At what point do you back down? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's all really delicate to navigate in
It's
any
very
situation.
delicate. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. And then what happens? Vanessa gets a needle in her finger.
Oh God, Michelle,
Robert's in
that
the way
is
again.
Michelle, that's scary. So, there's oh, before that, Nora and Alexandra lose a piece of the pattern.
Yes, and that is like a big
Michelle,
fucking to do. Like, and then Nora is accusing people of stealing it.
it was super fucked up. This is what I don't understand. And then again, I really do, I've invoked her a few times, but my friend who quilts and who sews, she can make anything. We got to get on this podcast, because to me, I don't understand, why did they not just, like Karasan suggested, instead of spiraling out of control for however long it took them, it seemed like it took a long time. I think they even said a couple hours. Why didn't they just remake the pattern piece?
Because that's something that you learn with experience. And I just think having done like the kind of work that I've done, especially like, like in photography, or just like trying to put together like audiovisual things, and you're under a time crunch, and like I used to work at like Harvard Business School. They're hard to work for, the
I bet.
students in particular. But if like one thing would go wrong, technically they'd be like, what the fuck is happening? Why are we waiting so long? And so, in your brain, I'm just thinking, it's just a cord. I just got to go change the cord. I got to change, you know what I'm saying? I'm running down the list of things that could be wrong. But then at some point, maybe somebody starts flipping the fuck out. So, or you're running out of time, and you're just thinking, these are the things I have to do to get to this. So can I skip this to get to this? And there's all this like executive functioning that happens. Nora doesn't have that yet. Like she just, and some of that's learned, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
Michelle, she really goes from zero to to
To on her
crying,
period is where she
right?
goes.
To
Like,
go to crying, and then to accusing everybody.
uh-huh.
And then when Karasan is like, "Don't, girl, don't,"
Mm-hmm.
mm-mm.
And then I don't even know what Karasan said to upset Nora that much.
All she said was, I rewatched it again this morning. All she said was, um, if instead of accusing everybody,
Yeah.
you should just remake the piece.
Yeah.
I would have just remade the piece.
And I don't
And Nora's
understand
like,
what
I
was
didn't
so.
accuse anybody.
Yes,
I
she
didn't
did.
accuse you. And she accused all of them. It's not that she just accused Karasan.
It
She
was a
accused
universal accusation.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge red flag. To the point where even Kevin says that she had to be consoled for hours.
Yeah. And again, Kevin saw her in the very beginning, saw that she couldn't handle his kind of way of thinking, that she
Yeah.
needed to keep going, boom, 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 boom. And I have a feeling that the way she works is she tries it, doesn't work, moves on, moves on, moves on, where his thinking is there's got to be a process and there's steps.
Yeah.
And so he tried to manage her from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, and they're just they have very different styles, which will I'll mention to you a little bit more later. I think this is a real indication of how important collaboration is in
Yeah.
every business, but especially in this business. Um, so then you're right. Then it's 11 o'clock in the workroom. When everybody gets tired, that's when accidents happen. And to your earlier point, this is when Vanessa gets a needle in her finger, and
Mm-hmm.
and she basically needs a medic. I will say I almost fucking passed out when I realized it was actually like an inch of needle or
Like a
two
big
inches of
ass
needle.
piece of needle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was so calm. I couldn't believe it. I would have been probably hysterical. So what happens is that while this is happening, for some reason, nobody in Project Runway is like, we have people here who are on
Yeah.
medical staff.
Right.
They let the designers get a pliers. And while this is happening, Robert hears and comes in and is like, hi, I'm Robert.
Yeah. Let me see. Give me your
And
finger. Give me...
and what happens is that Austin, I think, is so amped up. I think the time pressure is getting to him. I think also managing Wendy and Vanessa is getting to him because, of course, Wendy is saying she can't sew, and there's this whole situation. And I think his design, as we'll see, is way over the top and super ambitious. Um, but I feel like this is why Austin does what he does.
Which was really not even very aggressive.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. So I literally wrote down, what like
So basically, he just, like, in a very gentle way, put his hands on Robert and just kind of moved. Didn't he really didn't push him? He just put his hands on him, extended his arms a few inches, and said, "Robert, just out of the way," kind of thing. And
yeah.
Robert took it as like a physical assault. It
What do you think
wasn't.
if this was today, if this happened, how do you think people would react to it?
Today,
Yeah.
oh, well, today I think everybody wants to fucking sue you for something. And
Yeah.
I think you know think I think everybody, I don't know. Yeah, it would be a problem. Everybody is so fucking entitled today, that everybody gets, everybody's got like a fucking bubble wrapped around them.
Yeah. I can see it going either way. There's a part of me that's like, dude, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
Right. But also, let's remember that like 2 episodes ago, these dudes were doing masks, right?
Yes.
They were friends. They're friends.
Yeah.
What happens here, I think, gets kind of gross. So I don't think it's a big deal to you or I, but I think it's a big deal to both of them because of what they say later, which is, I think Robert honestly is acting a bit like a dick because Jay, I mean, he has to like kind of stand up for himself and show his dick. And so he starts telling Jay that he'll bitch slap Austin.
Hmm.
Uh, and then Austin says, it's no big deal, even though Austin, is bigger and stronger than Robert.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they would do that Robert would go to a little homophobic stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that Austin would be heterophobic. Isn't that what that would be?
Yeah.
Right?
Is
That they
Austin
would,
maybe just taller?
yeah, but they would attack each other at that level. I think it's very interesting.
Well, it's,
Uh,
it's a real primal level, is what it is.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it means that they were hurt because
Yeah.
I think they are really good friends.
Yeah, I
And
think they
so it's
disappointed
yeah.
one another, but really, at the end of the day, Robert's just like fucking falling apart because he needs direction but can't really handle it, right?
Well, but that's why I think I'll put it this way. I think if he was doing the work that he should have been doing, he wouldn't have been available for this drama to go in and bother Austin.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
everybody else, not everyone else comes running,
Yeah.
right? Robert is like, I'll save the day. And nobody asked for him.
Yeah.
So then there's a sort of weird like interlude where Nora is whining again and thinks that Kevin is fucking with her.
Yeah.
She's really paranoid, really paranoid.
She's really, she's very slappable in this moment.
Oh, I was gonna say there are so many opportunities to assault these people.
Yeah.
Vanessa starts singing, I would be like, girl, no,
Yeah.
shut the fuck
What
up.
the fuck is that? What is
And making
that?
fun of Nora's freak out.
Yeah.
You know, like again, if you were really busy doing the thing that you should be doing, you should have no time for this fucking shit. Then Jay says the bitch is gonna get stabbed.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yes, yes, Jay, yes. Um, and then, you know, again, Nora's childlike behavior is super cringy, but it's what ends the day, right? She has to go home and go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day, Tim Gunn comes in, and there's only one line about it. But did you hear him mention that he got a report about the night before?
Yep. Yep. It's not
And that
happy.
he's, yeah,
Not
and that he's
happy.
like, my expectation is that what happens on the runway will be, you know, professional.
Yeah.
And so he tells them that there's 2 hours to the show, and he starts, you know, walking around. And I think, again, it's interesting. I think that this has happened a couple of times. I think the last time was with the Art Deco dress that Jay did. Was it the Chrysler Building?
Yep. Yep.
And this particular top that Jay has made, where Tim is wowed.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's leather, it looks like, and it has feathers, but not feathers. What do you call that? It's more like fuzz, or like a light feather. Super tiny feathers,
Yeah,
not huge ones,
yeah,
fluffy
no,
ones.
It's
Like down
it's like
almost.
sort of like the downy feather stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know, but
It's
it's
fuzzy.
ready for the Pigalle section of Paris. And yeah.
It's gorgeous. And
Yeah.
you know, Austin's team is using Morgan. She's having a meltdown. So we have, you know, the meltdown the night before, and then now Austin's team is experiencing this problem with Morgan. And so he ends up having to stop what he's doing,
Yeah.
go down to where the models are. It looks like these things are like floors apart.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
Floors and
elevators,
floors
floor.
apart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he gets down there, and what is Morgan's problem?
I actually don't know, but they ended
The
up dyeing
hair.
her hair red,
The hair.
and
It's the hair color.
it was okay
She says that she's booked the next week as a
for a
blonde.
blonde. Yeah.
So she can't dye her hair red, which freaks Austin out. First, I mean, I feel like the whole thing feels like manufactured drama, because then 2 minutes later, she says she'll do it, but then the outcome is not even really red. Did you notice
It's
this?
strawberry blonde. It's like they didn't
Yeah.
have enough time to put, they needed to put it in her hair for like 45 minutes and they did it for like 10.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when she was done, I was like, this was the thing she was upset about. It's like a shade.
Yeah.
To me anyway, it looked like a shade difference.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like a big deal if you had to color it again. But so poor Austin, did you see? I don't know if you noticed, his hair was so cute. It was
Yeah, I
in
don't know what
curls.
was in it. Like, what did he do?
So I think he had curled it. Looks like it had been done with a curling iron
Uh-huh.
and just sprayed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like while it was still hot.
Because I was looking for a
This
clip.
is so foreign to you.
I
I'm
was
looking at you now.
I was looking for a clip in his hair. Like, what?
Your hair is like so gorgeous and curly. This is a completely foreign concept to you, because I should probably explain that the rest of the universe, to get curly hair, and especially if your hair is like, you know, not curly at all, sometimes you will spray it while it's in
Yeah.
the curling iron, which cooks it but
Yeah.
also freezes it. That's when you start to smell pear burning at the house. So yeah, it looks like he has curlers in his hair, and I really feel bad for him, because he is having a fucking full-on panic attack
Yeah.
in the elevators. He's freaking out. Jay sees this and he says how much he loves the drama, and I always feel like he'd be so great to do this with us.
I know, right? It's so funny.
How are you with pressure like this, with time pressure? How does that affect you? Do you freak out like that? I do.
No, I I don't know. I mean, I'm highly organized, so I think, but I also allow time for things to go wrong. So, I don't know. I think I, I mean, again, I run into stuff like this with Brian, like when we're trying to like, figure out like someone's moved out of like one of our apartment units, and what are we going to do to it, and what's the money situation, and you know what I'm saying? What's the
There's so many
projected rent and thing?
factors.
Many factors. And so, but what nobody realizes is that, if before somebody moves out, I'm already thinking what can be done with what money I have. Well, what would be a good thing to do? So I tend to think of things like way in advance. So I'm not sure that like a short-term thing like this I would be good for, because I do things like really long range and then
I
make
think you're
decisions.
very proactive.
Yeah. But if you said to me like under pressure like this, like do this, I mean, I think I might have like a limited scope because I would just be thinking like, I got no time and this is all I can do, so I'm not sure the creativity would really come out.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I don't think I'd be very good at this either. I don't think I could be creative in a time crunch. I think
Yeah.
that's a whole other set of skills. So I give them a lot of credit. I'm sure this
Yeah.
isn't the first time I'll say it. So finally we head to the runway. And I think Heidi finally looks hot. She looks super hot in black.
She got big boobs too.
Yeah.
Boobs,
She
yeah.
might be pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she does her Heidi math again and tells us there are 9 designers.
Yeah, there's a
And then
lot of like voiceover here, like
yes.
post recording. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's when she's telling us we introduce the judges. It's Michael Kors again, Nina
Mm-hmm.
Garcia, and then Sarah Hudson. And we're reminded that it's a team challenge. Only leaders can win. And so then
Mm-hmm.
Heidi says, let's start the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so first look is Austin's team's look, and it's exactly what I feared. When I saw it, I was like, fuck, it's
Another
too
Southern
caricature-y.
Belle
Yeah,
extravaganza.
it's just too Austin-y. It's like a demented little Bo Peep. And then Wendy says, of course, in her confessionals that she had doubts about the design. Because of course she'll do, anything she can to kind of plant seeds and,
Yep. Yep.
she's really on the wrong show. God bless her. She
She's gross.
really is on
Yeah.
the wrong show. And then it's Kevin's team's look. And it's
I'll tell you what I wrote. Kevin pink thing torn up sucked.
so
Like I fucking hated it.
we're gonna start doing kaiku. Oh my god. So mine was
Haiku, yes. Was that enough lines? Yeah.
mine was exclamation perfume with mohawk. Because it reminded me of the exclamation perfume from like the 80s and
Yeah.
90s that's like hot pink and white and black with polka dots. I
Yes,
was like,
yes.
no.
And he just had like these little bits and pieces of material sewn into like little sleeve caplets and
Yeah.
yeah, right?
It was not cute. It was not cute. But Nora loves the design, so we should know already that it's fucking jacked up.
Well, and Sarah like lit the fuck up when she saw it. So,
Which really broke my heart a little bit.
yeah. Yeah.
And then last, oh my God, as soon as I see Jay's design, I want to stand up and applaud. I love everything about
I
it.
loved it. And Sarah, I don't think liked it. If they matched the face with the
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking amazing.
I mean, it was so good. It was that leather vest with the feathered shoulders,
Yep.
black leggings with like that shredded skirt that had the
With the buckle,
seatbelt.
the seatbelt buckle that you could just take off because you're a prostitute, right? So you just need to be able to like, drop your skirt at any time.
It was so. I
I'm
mean,
sure the
I just
pants
think
had
that
like
is
a
so.
big open crotch. Exactly. Right.
Knowing Jay, probably, yeah, his
probably.
working porn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was the coolest looking. I mean, I would wear any and all of that situation
Yeah.
at any point. And it just looked impeccably made. It was funny. Like, I think all 3 designers tried to capture a certain amount of chaos in their designs, a certain amount of like disarray, right? Something that didn't look planned. And I think the only person who really executed that well was Jay.
Yeah.
And of course, Kara, says to us that she likes the collaboration because it reminds her of when she used to work with so and so and so and so. And so then we get to the scoring. Jay's team is in the middle, and I'm stunned. So they leave the runway.
So
what did you think? I really thought Jay was going to win.
I thought he was going to win.
I thought it was beautifully made.
Here's the thing, though. She didn't like it. I feel he was the best executed.
Yeah.
But she didn't.
Harrison is talented too.
And she didn't like it. Sarah didn't like it. So that's the only reason.
No. I was bummed.
So now we come up to so now we're left with like who we're left with.
We bring the models back, right? So then we have Kevin and Austin, those 2 teams, right?
And they're asked to talk about it. And Kevin says, I don't know, he mumbles something, but it's not really much of an explanation that he gives. I mean, it's a really empty, vacuous.
Do you want to pet my dog, little girl? No, what he says is that it's like a sexy, again, he says the same thing, sexy Edwardian rock star.
Yeah. Right? And you have to be able to talk about your shit a little bit better. And Not it's there's no right or wrong with how you talk about your shit, but you got to throw some words out there.
I'm curious. I don't know how this is going to go, but to your point, I feel like that is a big part of being a designer, is that you're able to articulate your point of view in a way that is exciting to people and like brings them along. I think that Kevin is just not there yet with that, and I'm curious to see if there's a point in the competition where that starts to matter,
Yeah.
because it hasn't yet. um Now we're talking to Austin, and he says weird shit. Like, he doesn't say the obvious, like, yes, this is little Bo Peep.
He
He does.
says something about a big sexy princess.
It's an 18th century princess, a young girl. He says he's happy with it, and I feel like I can tell that Sarah is instantly not.
Yeah, no, she does.
Right.
She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it.
So Heidi asked Michael to talk a little bit about what leadership and teamwork looks like in fashion.
And which is why I think he had this. I think he was behind this particular piece.
Yeah. And he says the bigger you get, the more you need a team. You need to eliminate the weak link.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the truth is too, is like the team, like these people all have different styles, like we've seen. And I feel like the teams that were the most successful, and whether Sarah liked them or not, right, and produced like the best design, were the people whose styles were either most complementary or who had the ability or like the self-awareness to kind of pivot
To
and
pivot, yeah, yeah,
bend a little bit
yeah.
and meet someone where they are. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, Jay didn't they say he like has a vintage store? So he probably has a team of people
Yeah,
that he works with.
yeah.
And so I think he knows when to come out strong
Uh-huh.
and when to lay back a little bit. And I think he really managed. I mean, Karasan, I mean, as we know, has worked for every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he had in Karasan someone who's really talented, and he knew how to manage that. I don't feel like Kevin is there yet with that skill either.
No.
Like, I think that not only is he at a place where he can't really articulate like who he is as a designer, because I feel like he throws a lot of buzzwords, excuse me, out.
Yes. Yeah.
I also feel like Austin is not quite there yet either, and he's not able to show us. I don't think who he shows us as a designer is like one note.
I'm not
It's his
sure that he
name.
has more than one note.
It's his name. That's
Yeah.
the one note.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. So Heidi wants to find out who helped and who didn't.
Yes. So each team leader needs to basically off one of their
Yeah, you're like
teammates.
you have to ask someone to leave the island. So yeah, Heidi actually wants them, Kevin and Austin, to say who on the team should be out.
This is good constructive criticism, right?
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I feel like so many people are not able to give feedback. Like, I don't think, for example, that Austin is able to give the feedback to someone like Vanessa that is like, hey, I know you don't like to sew, but like it's the competition we're in, right? Like, stop talking about it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And stop talking
don't
about
be
how
now,
you think my stuff is disgusting, right?
right? And
Yeah.
and yeah, and don't spend your time doing that. We need to execute this design, or potentially one of us is going home,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I don't think Austin is there with his ability to do that. And then we have Kevin's big ass teeth that say, we didn't know that when we were choosing the teams.
Right. Yeah. And then
And then
Austin's crying.
I,
I'd rather send myself home.
was those crocodile tears? Did you see him? Did you see actual tears? I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I didn't
I
see
did. I did. I but he learned a good lesson. He learned a good lesson from this because I think, he was we'll get there.
Yeah, he just says it's the most horrible decision he could possibly make. He
but
said,
it's not because people are perfectly willing to talk about him. So, his shortfalls.
well, someone would be fine in sending him home.
Yeah.
If the situation were reversed, Wendy would have already sent him home.
Yeah. And so would
He
Vanessa.
says, oh, 100%. He just says, I love them so much. I don't think I can decide. I'd rather leave myself, as you say.
Yeah.
Everyone's quietly freaking out. Like, they keep showing these like rapid cut shots of everyone going, Ooh,
Yeah.
and Vanessa is like, this is absolutely awful. You know, she's really upset. And then so Heidi says that Sarah is going to select the winning dress and the designer, and that everybody else is up for elimination. It's like marry, fucking kill, right? So Nora says that she helped Kevin like get his shit together, like that he was disorganized or something. And then it's
Unbelievable.
weird. Alessandra actually agrees with her. I didn't. I was really surprised with that.
I was confused by that. She agrees, but then, but then Kevin goes on to say, like, what a fucking crybaby she was. He had to fucking hug her, he had to fucking coddle her. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're entitled to a breakdown. Everybody's entitled to like a freak out for 5 minutes, but then it's
What
fucking
if it was
over.
longer? Yeah, as I was saying,
No,
like that.
then
Yeah.
it's fucking over. I'm sorry. Just fucking move beyond it. I mean, I look at where these people may be with their lives, and I'm not sure that they've ever been faced with like any major adversity where like you're the fucking
He's so
person who
young.
has to
He's
pull
so young.
everything out of the fucking garbage now, and you're the one who's got to do it. I don't know that they've ever been there. I don't know. I don't know. And you
She's
know what?
super duper young. She has no, you can tell she's had very little life experience.
Is she from Connecticut too?
Yeah, she's from, did you call it Pratt or
Yeah.
something?
Oh yeah, she went to Pratt. Yeah.
Um, and I get it. I mean, I think that in the moment, it's hard to manage these people because they can always walk away from the project and then you're fucked.
Yep.
But Kevin says that they were crying, excuse me, that Nora was crying and complaining. And I'm just surprised. I really am. I can't believe that Alexandra didn't mention that or they didn't show her
Yeah, I'm not really sure
mentioning that.
about that. Like why yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. She looks weak. She looks really weak in that moment.
Yeah, it was very strange. I didn't understand why when Nora said, yeah, Kevin had this hard time. And I was like, but did he though? Didn't you lose the pattern and then cry about it for like 6 months?
She
And
was
then
mad at the beginning that he was nitpicking on small details. Anyway.
which I mean, I don't mean to, tell them their business, but that almost feels like what a designer's job is.
Mhm.
And so then we see Wendy throwing Austin under the bus,
Yeah.
saying that he has a lack of leadership.
Lack
And
of leadership.
I think this is when I feel like this is Austin's coming of age episode. This
Hmm.
is Austin getting like woke. This is
Yeah.
somebody walking up to him and like it's Morpheus saying like, which pill do you want? And he
Yeah.
takes the pill that shows him the matrix.
And because he
Now he's
can't
like,
fucking
fuck,
believe that like Wendy has said that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, he just practically cried saying, I'd rather go home than pick one of them.
Uh-huh.
And
That was
she's
real
like,
interesting.
oh, and he's a fucking bad leader. So
Yeah.
I think that really, this is going to be the moment, I think, where after this, I bet you we see an Austin who is paying attention,
Hmm.
like in a way that maybe he wasn't before, like to the game,
Yeah.
right? To
And
like,
and
to
and
what's going
maybe
on.
maybe has a little vendetta against
Oh,
Wendy.
I think now Austin realizes that there is no loyalty. Well, because think of it this way. The reason why I say this, the reason why I'm like billing this in my mind and I wrote it down as his coming of age is because of what happens first with Rob, right?
Oh yes. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
friendship, right?
Yeah.
And then because they live together and remember, they're in the same flat
Yeah.
together. And then with Wendy later in the episode.
Yeah. And what I don't like about Wendy is she just had this weird empty look on her face the whole time, like, I'll just do what you want me to do. Like she had this figured out from the very beginning. I'm gonna throw him under the bus for being a bad leader, and I'm gonna make it so that he can't be a leader because I'm gonna give no fucking feedback.
Oh,
Right?
right. Like, yeah, she hoppatatoed it the entire,
Yes, she
like,
did.
she was like, she just literally threw her hands up. She was like, I have no idea. What do they call it? Like alligator arms? Like you're just like, no, I wish I
Oh,
could
it's like
help
the
you,
fucking
but
T-Rex arms. I can't
yeah,
pay because my
I
arms are
wish
too
I
short.
could. I wish
Yeah.
I could help you. But yeah, she really throws him. And this is where, yeah, I think this is where it was cute the first few episodes. They're all trying to be friends and how we're gonna go out drink. Woo. But
Yeah.
now shit I think is gonna get real. And people realize that other people will say stuff about them.
Yeah.
Vanessa, because she is literally a moron.
She really, I'm telling you, she
Talk
really
about this.
stuck
She
it to
chooses
herself, didn't
she
she?
she chooses herself, Michelle. Talk about this.
She
Like what
chooses
what
herself,
were your
and
thoughts?
she says she's a bad sewer. And in that moment, as she says, that diarrhea started coming out of her mouth, and she just fucking completely threw herself under the bus, ruined the whole thing. Yeah. But to be
I don't
honest
get
with
it.
you, Maria, looking back at it, I'm not sure what Vanessa did bring to the table besides being a fucking idiot and saying that she's can't sew anything.
So here's the thing, and I think it's like a chicken and egg thing. Like, which came first? Like, is do we not know what she's done because she's a bad sewer?
Mm-hmm.
Or does she like, I feel like she's one of those people, and she actually says it, I think, in this episode, when they're talking about when they first get together after they've been chosen as teams, and they get there and I think they're about to go to Mood, and it's Austin and Wendy and Vanessa. And Vanessa is like, kind of, she, you know what it really is? She has diarrhea constantly of the mouth, and
Yeah.
she can't stop talking. And what she says is that, and she says it to Austin and Wendy, is that she doesn't really want to do someone else's design. To her, that's the fun part, is the part that she wants to do, which is the actual design. She doesn't want to sew and sew for someone else. Like, she actually says it.
Yeah. And looking back, I'm just thinking to the first episode when Wendy was trying to set Vanessa up, like in the laundry room scene.
Yep. And that
So
was a
she's
day or two before, right?
uh
In time, like for
oh,
us,
in
it's been a
time.
week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So yeah.
yeah, Wendy's like looked, and she's seen that Vanessa is like a wounded water buffalo.
Yeah.
And so the judges deliberate,
Yeah.
and Sarah, of course, loves Kevin's. She says it's a look, it's an image, and I'm thinking to myself, who are you? Why?
Well, she does say that it was his design was to a T, that whatever else shit he said, which we weren't privy to, maybe
Right.
he showed her some
I'm gonna, I'm
pictures.
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
That's what he
it's
said.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what he
yeah,
said.
uh it's to a T. Austin went on a tangent. And he did. Austin went on his like Southern
He went
Belle,
rogue. He went rogue.
his rogue Southern Belle thing, right? So
Mm.
he's
And he's crying backstage while this is happening.
I'd like
Poor
to see
Austin.
him do like Dune, like a whole Dune, but Southern
But
Belle,
Southern Belle,
right?
Zendaya, and like, with the blue eyes, but it would have to all be like, but it would be made out of sacks. It would probably even be made of like flour sacks.
Yeah.
And he could make, and it would be just like this huge, big, like hoop skirt thing. And
But what would he
Jay would
make
do
the
it.
fucking plug in her nose?
You
Like,
know
what
who
would
would
that
make
be?
it beautiful would be Jay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jay. Oh
They'd all be
God.
hookers. Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be cool as fuck. He'd bring some color to that. He would bring color to Arrakis. That's what Jay does. Yeah, I feel bad because Austin is crying backstage, and Vanessa says that she's not worried about it. She just can't shut up. Like, people, and I'm like that too. So I see myself. So, Michael Kors can't believe that Vanessa said that she was the weak link.
Yeah.
Nora is kind of, again, being super immature about it. It's just very, inappropriate for something like this. She's like, I'm over it. And then they bring them all back on the runway.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah picks Kevin as the winner, and he's immune to the next challenge.
Yep.
And that bums me out.
That sucks.
That really fucking sucks.
Because that just like threw my whole fucking wish list, right?
Yeah, your pick just fucking.
Yep.
We were hoping. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough that your pick would be in, then my pick is in. So Wendy, unfortunately, is also in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are left with Alexandra, Austin, Nora, and Vanessa. And very quickly, we hear that Alexandra and Austin are both in. And then we are standing there with Nora and Vanessa.
Yep.
And basically, Heidi goes over everything with them. She says, Nora, this is how you behaved. Because also, too, I keep forgetting that if Tim gets the news, I'm assuming that must filter in some way to Heidi.
I would
about
think
what
so.
went on the night before.
Yep.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I feel like there would definitely be an instance whereby if Tim Gunn knew something, that would somehow be communicated to the judges.
I would think so. Yeah.
And then Vanessa is, Nora is in, and then Vanessa says she's out. And, Heidi says that, basically she took herself out.
Yes.
And she starts to lecture her, and Vanessa, I guess I was really disappointed that she behaved this way. She was like, "Can I leave now?"
Yeah. Not very
I really
gracious.
was. I was very disappointed. I would have thought that she had better manners than that, I guess. And because she started to walk away, and then like Heidi, like, because normally Heidi is kissing people, remember?
Yeah, so she's,
Just
yeah.
she just shook her hand, and she barely did. Like Heidi had to like go and kind
Yeah.
of get her as she was walking away. And Vanessa says she feels terrible because she fucked it up. And I feel bad because again, when I watched it again this morning, I don't know if you remember this part, but it kind of made me sad when she was like, "I don't know what to say." Like she
Yeah.
said it a couple of times to the camera. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, now she's really realizing.
Yeah. And then she's something about, she's disappointed that like she
She
just
can't
can't
show it.
show America her designs.
Yeah. And I don't know. This one I felt bad. And so, Austin is like inconsolable while this is
It's
happening.
so crazy.
Is he face down on the couch? I think that's how I remember it. I
And
think
I
he
want
is
to
fucking.
know, like everybody else is sitting on that couch and you're rubbing your face on that pillow. Where's that pillow been?
Oh, Maron,
This
please
is
don't
like
even
not like your
fucking.
home fucking couch. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
I wouldn't even do my home couch. Get out of
Or
here.
like
Like
I would like,
dogs. No,
I've always got like a
no, ma'am.
fucking my own blanket to put on. I
I
don't know.
was like, I got two dogs. There's no way I'm putting my.
I've been around too long, Maria. Just
I don't even get it. And so, yeah, he really, I mean, I'm telling you, I think that this is Austin's moment. I think this is his like breaking point.
well, maybe he's crying too because he's just thinking like, if I don't pull it together, right? And
Yes.
I have to pull it
Yes.
together. So this is like he's having a little meltdown before he comes back.
Yeah. I mean, and it happens during the whole confessional while she's talking. It keeps cutting, right,
Yeah,
to him crying.
yeah.
And so I think that this is where we're going to start to see Austin paying more attention
Mm-hmm.
because he does have the talent. He's won, right, already. So he knows that he has the talent to do well. He just is right now leaning far too heavily into the Austenness of the
Yep,
Austin,
yep,
also the Austin. All right. Are you ready for the categories, my friend?
yep, yep.
All right. So let's talk about Top Gun. So Top Gun, of course, is our favorite Tim Gunn moment or quote. I'll go first if you don't mind.
Yep, yep.
I love when Tim comes in and everybody's a little bit, he's giving everybody their directions and he's talking about how much time is left and everyone's kind of whining. And he said, it's called Make It Work.
That was mine too. That was
Oh, really?
because really, like that's kind of how I live. It's called make it work. Yep.
Yeah. And actually, you and Tim are similar, I feel like, in that way. Like you're both very poised as people. You don't unruffle. You're not, there's never a point, or you're not a point where like I look at you and I'm like, oh, she's bothered by this, right? Like that's very internal. And so your delivery is always very smooth.
I'm melting inside. I'm
Yeah.
like on
But you're
fire
like,
inside.
we're gonna make it work.
Yeah. If I start to
Um
yell, that means like everybody should really run or should
oh, it's
rearrange their
over then.
lives. Yeah.
I think once you raise your voice, it's too late to start running. I think that's when you've already turned into, you've transformed into Godzilla
Yeah.
at that point. If you start raising your
Godzilla.
voice, I'm fucking out. I am out, my friend. Um, all right, number two, fashion faves. What was your favorite look this week?
Oh, it was
We're gonna agree on everything
I
this week,
know,
I think.
it was Jace, but you know what? I actually did really like Austin's.
Did you?
Yeah, I like his stuff. I don't think he did like what he was supposed to do, but
Yeah.
I like his things.
Oh, they're beautifully made.
Yeah,
Like I think his design is impeccable. I
yeah.
think you're right.
And I liked, she had like the sort of mascara tears going down her face.
Oh yeah. So the way that she was styled, yes, was also
Yeah, yeah. You know why? Her
why.
eyes were watering because she was doing dirty things.
She was, well, because
Mhm.
she's a dirty little girl.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite look actually was not something that was on the runway. I did love Jay's though.
Uh-huh.
It's something that Jay was wearing in the scene where they choose their models. He had a cap on that was like made of like a tapestry print.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
like gold and burgundy.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
I want that. That I want to know where that is. Um, and so our category number three, and this is always really fun to do, is whatever happened to, and this week it is Vanessa.
Hmm.
So let me share with you what happened with Vanessa Riley. So this is interesting to me because I looked through a couple of sources, and bunches of them mentioned this. So I wonder if something happens in the reunion, but this is what a lot of people are saying, that she is known for being the villain of season 1.
She is.
She says it says Vanessa Riley brought the drama for Project Runway's inaugural season. This British expat finished in 9th place, but continued her career in fashion. After the show, Riley had a namesake gallery-like retail store in Houston that has since been closed, as mentioned in Pop Sugar. After her store, according to her LinkedIn page, Riley is now the owner of Peace, Love, and Ponies, a party entertainment company that sees ponies accompany costumed entertainers for events in Riley's home base of Texas.
Who thinks of that shit? Do people really need that at a party?
I think in Texas, yes. I think so.
Maybe that's interesting. Maybe she's a British expat, right? And maybe Texas is so fucking far flung from anything she comes from that she's just laying into it, right? Interesting.
I thought it was very interesting that would be. I'm not surprised she had a store. I can imagine her with like a really cute store.
Yeah.
But I am stunned that she would do something like that.
Yeah.
I am
Okay.
stunned. And so here comes our last category, Michelle. And so this is where you and I get to make our predictions, which frankly have not been very good lately.
No.
Nobody better go be asking us to give them lottery numbers because we suck. So it's exit stage left. Who do we think is going to leave next time?
You're not gonna like it.
Who is it?
Robert. I think he's on his way.
Roberto.
Yeah. I
Oh
don't
my
want him
God.
to, but
Robert. Oh my God.
he's falling
Okay.
apart at the seams.
Yeah, honestly, if this had been an individual challenge, I believe that he probably would have been in the bottom.
Absolutely. There's no
He is
way.
just not doing. I think he is like us, where he cannot be creative on demand.
No.
I think he is just not able to do that within the time constraints that are given to them.
Yeah.
And I think he's also trying to have a good time while he's there,
Yeah.
which I'm not saying is a terrible thing, but
But
I
he's
just
not
don't
why
think
he's
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's conducive to being a strong contestant on Project Runway.
No.
I don't think that those two things are the same. So I don't. Well, I'm not gonna agree with you because we can't both want Robert to go, because that would be too much putting it into the universe, because I still can't deal with get into my car, little girl. Kevin. I don't want Kevin. I want Kevin to go. I don't love his design, his edgy Edwardian design sensibility. And I don't like him as a TV character. I don't like him as someone that I watch on television.
No.
It's not even that he's not handsome, which he is not, but that's not even the point. It's that he is he's committing the television sin of not being charismatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's of not being interesting as a person.
But
At least Wendy is interesting.
she is. But I have to give him credit because he tried to really manage Nora, who is just, a little twat at this point. So, she was on my list, but I think there's might be hope for her. I think Robert just doesn't have it in him.
Yeah, I think we're starting to really see the separation, right, between the people who are really talented
Yeah.
and are going to make it to the next level. And I think that becomes more and more apparent. And of course, the drama gets ratcheted up, which is also
Yes.
so very delicious and full of the cringe, which is our favorite.
And I don't think Wendy is going to really go anytime soon because I think she's a divisive character. I think they like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wendy is better TV than Kevin,
I think
and
so.
by a lot. And if I'm being honest, other than, the things that she created, the first couple of things were really ridiculous looking. But the one that won the challenge was very well made
Mm-hmm.
and was pretty.
Yeah.
And so, maybe there's hope for her in terms of her aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that at the very least, Wendy is, even if she wasn't doing this weird, like, I am trying to be a villain kind of situation, she's like twiddling her mustache in the corner. Even if she wasn't doing that, I think that she would still be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
In general, right? Because she is so different from the rest of them.
Yeah.
Right. She's from a different place. She's a different, she's a different stage in her life. So I think that all is really cool and interesting. And I think that what's happening now too is that we are weeding out the people who are less compelling in terms of their aesthetic. Like they made nice clothes for sure, nicer than the average bear, but not enough where, we might see them on, Fashion Week or, QVC or whatever. But all right, this was really fun, Michelle.
Yeah, this was a good one. Things are heating up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. That's all you got. All right.
Sorry.
Well, all right. That's all right. All right, everybody. Let us just say one thing to everybody. We appreciate everybody who's listening. If you'd like to support the podcast, we would so appreciate it if you would leave us a rating, a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Please tell your friends. And we'll hopefully you guys are all subscribed, but if not, make sure you do on whatever platform you're listening to and to us on. And hopefully we'll see you soon. We'll see you for the next episode of Project Runway. See you guys.